rock and or roll is quite right, is what Richard just said to me before we went live. Hello and welcome back to Painting Up the Monster Manual here on Dragonborn Industries with Warrior Prince 3D, my good friend Richard, who does the show with us, and we're on, finally, episode 25, the quarter hundo. The quarter hundo. And we're going to be doing the Chuul, which is an aberration, and we'll go into all of that in a moment. But Richard, why don't you tell us who you are and where people can find you?
I think I am Warrior Prince 3D. I am your one-stop shop for all your 3D printing needs, be it small little wee tabletop to big collectibles to large statue collectibles, to terrain pieces, cosplay, and pretty much anything you'd like to test out printing. You can find me on Etsy, Facebook, Instagram, over here with Dragonborn Industries, Band of Badgers, Street Corners, random places on the internet, and apparently several random places in London where one of my customers has placed stickers of mine all the way around. So
nice. That's really cool. I very much like that. So hey Fluffy, hey Dibs, how you doing? Dibs says Richard is the beard. So we'll go with that. Hope everybody is doing well today. We are mad rushing. I was going to do this on Streamlabs and have it going across all the platforms again, but what happened was Discord wouldn't allow me to use Streamlabs as a webcam, so we're back to just being on Twitch for a little bit, and I'll sort that out later this week, because I do want to get this further afield if possible. But let me grab the Chuul stat block, because we are looking at the Chuul today, which is from the Monster Manual, and Richard has just sent me a picture of the mini that we're going to be painting, which is from, Richard, if you'd like to tell people where it's from.
So this is from Artisans Guild, and it is from the, I can read the, it's from the Slathe of House Mora release. Basically this is their Mind Flayer release. So this beautiful beastie comes with two versions of its head, and also comes as a saddled version with the rider you see there. The rider is also a standalone model and is one of my favourite models of that release. I've got 75mm somewhere to paint.
Oh, it's so good. Like, when you sent me this, and there's like two different heads to it, and I was like looking at the other head, and I was like, that's so kaiju. But this particular one, like, if it's so Tyrannid meets Mind Flayer. It's really something abstract, which is cool because, like I said, Fluffy, have you pressed record? Yes, I have, because I have a habit of not doing that recently. These are aberrations, so the best way to describe a Chuul is kind of like a servant of the Aboleth. So for those of you who don't know D&D lore, the Aboleth was actually sort of around before the gods. And the Aboleth is this sort of overlord that fought against the gods, but also then liked to have dominion over mortals and over other beings. One of the things that they created were the Chuul. The Chuul were designed to find people with magic abilities, find items, and basically grab things for the horde or things of interest for the Aboleths to then look at. So they've got these massive pincers for attacking and grabbing. They've got this horrible just demonic and insectoid crustacean presence that is just designed for pretty much any lair. However, when the gods and the Aboleth ended up at war, the Chuul was sort of left behind and disconnected from their Aboleth overlords. And then as time went on and dungeoneers would end up going into dungeons and finding these wayward Chuuls who were still kind of collecting things, and any kind of presence of magic would interest them. So adventurers and adventuring parties were always a good hit if somebody came in, until another Aboleth came around, and then they would automatically default back to servitude, and they would bring everything they've collected so far, and just it automatically ended up working for the first Aboleth they come into contact with. When we look at the big three, which is hit points, armor class, and damage dealing, these are a CR4 creature, so they're not way up there, but they have an armor class of 16, which is natural armor, which is relatively high for that level of CR. They have a decent speed of 30 foot and 30 foot swim, hit points 93 rules as written, or 11d10 plus 33 if you're going to roll it. That's pretty beastie. And when it comes to damage dealing, they do have a multi-attack, so they can do 2 pincer attacks, and if the Chuul is grappling a creature, it can also use its tendrils once, so it can have up to 3 goes if it is grappling somebody. the damage itself, the pincers are 2d6 plus 4, and the tentacles is essentially an effect. So one creature grappled by a Chuul must succeed a DC 13 Constitution saving throw or be poisoned for 1 minute. And until this poison ends, the target is paralyzed. The target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns. So it has a way of immobilizing a character, which if you're in a party isn't too bad. But if you are on your own, which Richard, are you currently creating a level 3 character?
I have my level 3 character ready. Ashley, the Wood Elf Artificer.
Oh dear. I don't think a level 3 Artificer is going to do too well against a Chuul, but we'll see. Because I imagine like you're going through quickly now and checking the stats, which are probably shit, but then giving yourself some decent items.
I'm not going to give it. I'm going straight off the bat.
Straight off the bat. And as always, for anybody who may be new to this show or maybe is watching on YouTube for the first time, this is a show where we are going to try and paint this mini up in 1 hour, and we're going to run a combat against it at the same time. So, I know how I'm going to try and do this, because last week on the Band of Badgers stream, I did the Steamforged Games Island of the Crab Archon, and like trying to start doing comic book style, which is to basically have like a primary colour, do a couple of highlights, and then do a load of black lining. I'm going to try that again on this, so I am pretty sure I am not going to make this entire paint job in 1 hour to be tabletop ready. Do you know how you're going to attack this?
So I am once again going to be using the Army Painter speed paints from Army Painter.
The Army Painter speed paint from Army Painter.
That's the ones, the Army Painter speed paints from Army Painter.
Oh, I love the Army Painter. Ooh.
I am going to try. So I've got 7 colours out at the moment. I'm going to try a little bit of mix and match and try and do a little bit of blending to see what happens. Because obviously with the picture, we've got quite a sort of a few little interesting blends.
Yeah.
So I'm going for some ochre clay, sand golem, and maize yellow, which is going to be the outer sort of shell. I've got a bit of blood red for some of the smaller places, murder scene for the purpy and tendrily bits, and a bit of dusk red and pallid bone. Pallid bone I'm going to have for the underside, and dusk red I might place into some of the grooves.
Nice. So I quickly need to run across about 10 meters that way and go grab one of my inks, because I'm going to be using essentially inks today, as well as a red. The red is the only colour that, apart from these lovely eggs, like all over this base is these horrible slimy eggs. And I'm going to do those in hopefully like a really bright neon green. The tendrils on the mouth I'm going to try and do in like an off-brand Army Painter speed paint from Army Painter, because I don't have the blood red one for the Army Painter on the mouth tendrils, but the rest is going to be a black ink for the lining, and I've left it over there, so I'm going to quickly grab that. Well, Richard tells you if he's ever faced a Chuul or used a Chuul in D&D before.
I have faced a Chuul before. So I have faced, we had a one random one thrown into a campaign. I think we're going through some underground area, and it had a bit of a random encounter, and my first time ever actually encountering one. To be honest, I think some of them can be quite deadly in the right situation, and especially if you team them up with a couple of with an aboleth, it could be quite interesting.
Yeah, I don't think so. I just caught the back end of that about being there with an aboleth as like I guess a minion for a dungeon.
Yeah, we had one thrown in as like just a Chuul thrown in as a random encounter sort of thing.
Nice.
But I think it could be quite a deadly fight along with an aboleth.
Yeah.
And I've run an aboleth fight recently. And I should have thought about Chuul's, because that would have been quite fun. Because even though it was quite a high level party, the aboleth did quite well, because they were on paths surrounded by deep water.
Yeah.
So it was it was very fun.
Aboleths are not to be trifled with. Even like they're kind of like they're not low end apparitions, but they are bad. Dib says, Pasty, aspirating if you use the paint palette pod tray, not wet palette, from Crydrafy yet, please. Have you used it?
I've not used their wet paint palettes and bits and pieces. I currently use their water buckets, but I have my wet palette that I got from Green Stuff Army World, which is a large one. And
Green
currently,
Stuff
because I use the speed paints for this, I have this,
Oh, the little fidget poppers.
which is what I pop the speed paints in.
No pun intended.
Yay.
Ooh. Has he got no kitchen roll up here? I guess I'm using a sponge. I'm so unprepared today, it's unreal. So, Ashley, the wood elf artificer, are you ready? I have a timer set.
Go for it.
I need to think of a scene now. So, you have split from your party. You've gone down into an old mine. The old mine has turned into, broken into like part of a dungeon of some kind. Some old, really old, carved stone. And there were tunnels ahead, and you decided that with things like message spells and sendings that you could all split apart and explore different tunnels because you're very capable warriors and adventurers. And in doing so, you follow one of the paths on your own. A little further down, it opens up into a few different chambers, and all this ancient writing leads you to believe that this place has grandeur to it. And there is something that you can pick up maybe about, like, on pictorials about fighting gods, or about mortals being in their rightful place. You enter into a larger chamber where there's a bit of debris and there's a lot of dust, and what you start to notice is there are other things lying around. There are the bodies of like really ancient, now boned skeleton corpses or mummified corpses of what you see to be like people wearing armor or having swords that's so decayed now that it must have been a long time. There are small chests, there are little bits and bobs about that make you think that things have been collected here. And then you see it, like a lobster that walks on 4 rear crab-like legs. It's 2 massive claws and these like horrible tendrils coming from its mouth. Starts kind of winding its way towards you. We're going to roll initiative there and start the timer.
Okay, so before we start the timer, I would like to say, obviously, going down into a place of deadliness, I have already spent time and crafted my Guardian armor.
Perfect, that's absolutely fine. Very happy for you to do things like that. So, that for me, with the stat block being a dex of 0, is only a 14. How are you doing?
I'm just... that's just a 10 for me.
Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely. So, it is going to be...
Have you started the timer, did you say?
Yes, I have indeed. We have 59 minutes and 22 seconds left.
No.
And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a pretty thick brush. I'm grabbing some white Vallejo airbrush paint, and I'm going over these little egg satchels in a white so that they can come out really neon green later on. But yeah, this thing starts to like scuttle its way towards you with intent. Not like a monster that's hungry, but with some form of intelligence maybe, or some form of knowing what you are. It clicks and clacks with its claws, and its mandibles seem to like lust in a hungry way.
Shit.
It moves its 30 feet up to you.
Mighty flight, I prepare myself for deathly combat.
Do you have magical items on you?
I don't, no. I have not. I've just created the normal rando.
Okay, cool. And is your armor magical?
My armor is magical.
Okay, perfect. Because one of the things that a Chuul has is essentially detect magic on permanently. And it's one of the things that makes them an Aboleth sort of horde collector, is the fact that they look for magic items and they can sense them automatically within 120 feet. It comes up to you, it's going to try and make its 2 pincer attacks. Oh, the first one is an 18 plus 6.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna hit.
As this first pincer comes down, oh fuck, that's not good. That's 15 points of bludgeoning damage.
Okay, that's just reduced me to half.
Okay.
I'm just looking if I've got any no, I've got no reactions.
Oh, and you are grappled. That is an automatic thing. To which end then, its tentacles, it reaches down and grabs you with this large claw and starts to squeeze the life out of you. And I don't think you were expecting it to be so quick. And as it does so, its tentacles, these like mandible that comes from its mouth, start to reach out towards your face and your neck. Can you make a DC 13 Constitution saving throw? This could be the end of it.
Yeah. One save of 9.
Well, you're poisoned for 1 minute.
Okay.
And until this poison ends, the target is paralyzed. The target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on a successful. So,
I think this is going to be the week. Not the quickest paint job, but the quickest death job.
Possibly. I wasn't expecting that to hit straight away. I thought maybe it wouldn't. So, it's your go. You're paralyzed, which means that you are restrained, grappled, and immobile, and you can't do anything. It's the end of your go. Make a Constitution saving throw.
13.
Ah, it passes! You are no longer paralyzed. You are still grappled. You are no longer poisoned either, so you're not at disadvantage for anything. So that's quite good. However, I mean, it's going to try and squeeze you with its pincers. Technically, it gets advantage because you're grappled. Oh, fuck, that's a 15, and that's a 4. 15 plus 6 for 21.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, it's low damage. It's only an 8.
Okay. I'm still standing.
It's your go. You can attempt to break the grapple. I'm only going to give it the 1 attack this time.
No, do it fair.
Are you sure?
Was that his whole? If there, do its whole round.
All right. I feel bad. Can you make me a DC 13 Constitution saving throw, please?
Oh, Ashley. Oh, that's better. 15 con save.
You are not paralyzed or poisoned. It's your go.
Okay.
Dib says run. Dragon School says that was quick.
Right. Okay.
Right. So I'm just getting those nice and white on the eggs, and then I'm going to essentially use a grey speed paint all over that base.
Can you make me a Constitution saving throw?
Oh, I sure can, buddy. Let's have a look. So, skills, perception, have they got saving throws? Doesn't look like it. No, they're not good at any of their saving throws. So, Constitution's a pretty beefy stat for these guys. So the stat block is Strength +4, Dex 0, Con +3, Intelligence -3, Wisdom 0, and Charisma -3 as well. Oh, it's only a 5 plus the 3. That's an 8.
Okay. It takes... So literally, as it's sort of squishing me and restraining me, I get my spell off. Getting my tool out and that's attached to my arm, rubbing the bolts together and flinging it out as the sound reverberates. I cast Thunder Wave.
Yes. This is a very good spell for you to use.
It takes 15 damage and is thrown back 10 feet away from me.
Yeah, and that will break the grapple as well, which is what you want.
And I'm basically legging it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find some cover.
Okay, so if you start... Let's see, actually. So there's 2 ways you can go. Back the way you came,
Yeah.
or you can run forwards through this kind of like archway that it seemed to have come from.
What looks like it would be the most defendable?
Probably the way you came, because it's narrower.
Then I will head back that way and try and impose advantage on the larger creature. Disadvantage on the larger creature.
I mean, you certainly can. And yeah, you actually think, because this is a large creature, it would struggle to get through here. So it's going to take half movement when it gets up to there. What is your movement speed?
30 feet.
30 feet. Okay, so 30 feet, I'll say, will get you about 10 feet into there. It then follows you 30 feet. but it can only go 20 feet up to the entrance, and then it goes 5 feet into it, leaving a gap of 5 feet. However, these things have reach.
So I can imagine it's got something that you can do to me.
It absolutely does. So what reach is, for anybody who doesn't know D&D, is it can break past the 5 foot reach to 2 squares worth of reach, or 10 foot in game. So it's still going to get an attack with its pincers, as it kind of like, it runs forward and it just like launches the claw through first, knowing that you're going that way, trying to grab you before you escape, especially with that nice magical armor that you're wearing. It will make the pincer attack. Fuck's sake. That's a 17 plus 6 for a 23.
Yeah, that's going to hit.
Oh, God. 7 points.
7 points?
Yeah.
Ashley goes down.
It brings you in, and it paralyzes you. Can you make me a Constitution saving throw just to be safe? You still get to make these while you're unconscious, so...
Constitution. Ooh, 17.
17, so you're not paralyzed, but you are still at 0 hit points. It can't move anymore. It's the top of the round. Can you make me a death saving throw, please?
Fail.
Fail. Dib says speed paint. Who makes those?
So the speed paints are from Army Painter, Speed Paint, Army Painter.
Oh, I've never heard of those. And what kind of paints do they do?
So they do all sorts of paints actually. They do speed paints, they do airbrush paints, and they do normal standard paints.
No way.
And they're also coming out with a new series of paints soon, I believe.
Oh, I'd be a fanatic for anything new. Man, we are slaves to this. So, yeah, that's your first failed death save, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. At the top of its round, it doesn't attack you. You are now unconscious, and it starts to pull you away with it.
Okay.
Dib says, do the Army Painter do brushes too? Yeah, I think they do, actually.
Yes, they do.
And you get a lot with their, like, paint sets. They begin to carry you. So they pull you out of this chamber, and they start moving back towards that other archway. And you're in and out of consciousness as you pass by these other bodies. And you just see all of these, like, certain bits of them have been, like, stripped off. And you think maybe in this, like, passingness, maybe they collect things or do something. But they make it all the way to the other arch. And that's the end of their movement, which means they can't do anything else. Which would make it your go. And at the top of your round, I need a death saving throw, please.
Oh, past that one. 16.
Okay. They begin to move down this corridor, this archway, and it's a larger one, a much larger one. You can see, actually, there seems to be an amount of digging out that this creature has done as you are in and out of consciousness. They make it into a next chamber where they seem to lay you on another pile of old bodies, corpses, and then they're going to try and basically rip your armor off you. I'm going to give them a strength check for this. 17 plus 4 for a 21. They begin to remove your armor. It's going to take them a minute or two, but at the end of that, it is your go again. I need another death saving throw.
That's a fail with a 6.
That's number 2, yeah?
Yep.
So your armor, did you have to cast it onto you?
So basically, what will, my scale mail is imbued and becomes an arcane armor.
Oh, okay, right, cool. So
as soon as it's taken from me, and probably already as I'm dying, the magic will dispel, and it will no longer be magic.
Ah, now that's interesting, which is what I wanted to know. The armor is ripped from you, and in doing so, the magic is dispelled, and you just hear this of this like horrible, breathy monstrous creature, and it just seems to slam it down, and then it starts like using its claws to turn you over and look for any other magical items. It'll make a perception check. Really low. That is a 2 plus 0, so that's a 2. It's your go. It's do or die right now, Ashley.
Now, I have never died.
You can't die in D&D.
Do you know what? This is the first time I have ever died from death saves. I rolled an 8 and I failed.
And I think the way this would happen... I mean, is there anything like last from Ashley before she dies?
No, she's just... It's completely been overcome and is almost in a state of shock and disbelief as to what can happen so quick.
And with that, as it's turning you over, it grabs a little too tight, and the last of the air is squeezed from your chest as it's like pulling bits of like backpack and bedroll and stuff off you. And these like the last thing you feel would be like the mandibles coming around the back of your neck as it then clamps down on the top of your head. That's the end of the combat. I didn't think that would be so quick.
No, neither did I. I thought, you know what, when I rolled an artificer, I was like, I actually stand a chance.
Oh, see, I went the other way on that one. I thought you rolled an artificer, and I was like, oh dear. That's not gonna be great.
Yeah, but then I looked at my spells and my abilities, and I'm like, I'm fucked.
But I mean, yeah, so Chuuls they're an interesting one, because they're CR4, obviously against one level 3 player, that's bad, because if you get paralysed, which you did, game over. That's it, done. Whereas...
Game over.
Game over, man, they're in the goddamn walls! But with a party, they're actually quite easy, I think, to get through.
Especially if you decide on fodder first.
Yeah, exactly that. So they are this like interesting monster from the monster manual, and they do make great like mid-level bosses. But for later on in games, when you get to higher levels, I find that they are definitively dungeon fodder. But not this time round. I think I've used them a few times in D&D, and again, most of it has been as... I've actually used them in demonic palaces as well, as another kind of demon, because I really like how they look in their abilities.
Yeah.
So I've reskinned them as that before. And yeah,
there'd be one I'd quite like to buff up and use.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think it'd be one of those things that, like, what if you capture one as like a traveling fighting pit or something, or if you are, you know, an Aboleth manages to give it something extra, or a wizard manages to F around with it a bit more. That could be quite fun. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to stop blacklining everything on this mini. So we're going around all of the carapace, we're going around everything there. I've added the red to the mouth tendrils. And then it's going to be a case of just painting in all of those lines. How are you getting on?
I'm slowly mixing and blending and coating and trying to work out, you know, generally what I'm doing. But it's going alright. And the worst thing is some of the bloody whites come off, which is really annoying when you're trying to do speed paint.
Oh, really?
And you've got a random bloody spot where the whites come off and it shows through.
Yeah, I've got a tiny bit at the top of this bit of carapace here that's done that for me. But that's just, you know, where I've manhandled the mini a bit too much. Tip says rematch.
It's safe to say these things are not best fought by casters.
No, I think if you'd had a melee class, you'd have been absolutely fine. Especially like a barbarian with that high con.
Yeah. Well, that's if I get a high con.
Yeah, what we've learned from D&D Beyond so far is that...
it likes to fuck with me.
Yeah, it doesn't... Yeah, those random stats. You think they would make it...
Class-based.
Yeah, but then I suppose at the same time, that's not truly random, is it?
Yeah, that's not random, is it? Yeah.
God, it's really hard to paint black lines. So anybody who's considering doing comic book style miniatures,
Don't do it.
well, this is the thing, I really want to try it, but you have to literally, like, so I went out and bought a specifically long bristled brush so that I could do this, because apparently it makes it easier. And so far, it is easier, because the other week I was trying to do it with a shorter brush, but it is very precise. But what's nice about the long bristle is you can drag it through the recesses, and it seems to follow them really lovely.
So if you get a nice soft bristle one as well.
Yes, which is what this is. And this is from Hobbycraft. This is a Dale Rowney liner, which is funny because I'm using the Dale Rowney black ink to paint this up with. Also from Hobbycraft. Div says, might as well redraw a character and try again. You have time. Yeah, I mean, we do have 41 minutes, Dibs. It's...
But that's not the point of the exercise, Dibs.
Yeah, Dibs. Dibs. Right. It's really hard to follow it. It's weird, because, like, I'm so glad I don't paint Tyranids. But at the same time, this makes me want to do Tyranids in this style.
From everyone I've spoke to, Tyranids tend to be quite a fun one to do.
Yeah, I think Alex from our Two Guys One Cup show, which might be coming back at some time soon, actually.
I was going to say, I've not seen that for a while.
No, Alex has been really, really busy, to the point where, like, I think he's had something like 6 or 7 weddings to go to, and has, like, literally been the best man at several of them. So it's been like, you just take your time, bud. And
always a bridesmaid, never a bride sort of situation.
Oh, it's his wedding later on in the year. I can't wait.
Oh.
But say later on in the year, later on next year. Yeah, so he's been really busy, but hopefully we're going to be seeing a lot more of Alex. I can't say anything at the moment because I need to do final confirmations for things, and I don't want to say anything else.
We just don't know.
Say again?
I said, because you just don't know.
Yeah, well, I know, but I need to confirm a few things first. But we're going to see Alex a bit more on the channel again, which is going to be awesome, because he's a really nice dude, and we're going to get our 40k show back.
That'd be good.
Yeah, so it's good. I think we're going to do it as and when we feel like it jobby, because we both suffer from fatigue really quite easily. And yeah, it's going to be a case of, like, we might record a show and then we'll do another one a bit down the line, or it might be like 2 in a week, we don't know. But he's like, he loves watching this one back, and he loves stuff like that, so it's like really fun. That, like, yeah, we'll be able to do like a Warhammer show, we'll be able to do like this, the D&D show, we'll have Starfinder. Man, we're going to be ticking boxes, Richard.
Ticking, ticking, ticking.
That's it. And for anybody who's watching on YouTube, and maybe isn't watching live on Twitch and can't see the links, you can go check out Warrior Prince on their Etsy store. And if you use the code To The Stars, which is our Starfinder code, because Richard sponsors the show, you'll get 10% off.
Once the store opens back up.
He's on Christmas break.
I am.
Div says no Tyranids are assholes. I think Tyranids lend themselves to the slap chop style, where you dry brush the shit out of it and then you cover it in a contrast paint or a speed paint, and then you just do the highlights afterwards. I think they lend themselves very much to that. But I am yet to properly try. But I want to. Really, really want to.
No, with great anxiety yesterday, I put the shop onto holiday mode, which I have never done before, and I was literally terrified.
Yeah, well, I think...
Well, what if no one comes back?
Richard, people are definitely coming back to your store, and if they don't, they'll have to answer to Dibs. No, I'm absolutely sure they will, especially because, like, things like Asterion, which you've got there as well, like, it's such a good mini.
I'm going to be painting this one.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, well, I still need to picture and upload Karlak to sell, and I'm going to be selling Asterion as well.
Really? That's awesome. Because all of the ones that you've done so far have been unpainted, haven't they?
Yes, yeah.
So have you seen anybody painting them up yet?
Yeah, I've been tagged in a few bits and pieces, which is quite nice. Seeing some of the paint jobs that are going out there.
That's awesome.
Which is awesome. How are we for time?
You've got 37 minutes.
Well, it means I can start on the base for a bit then.
I did that first this time. Dragon Skull, hey, Richard has got a great looking card hanging up on the wall. He absolutely fucking does. Herbalist sent out a great one to him, and so did Dragon School Studios, and I got one too from both of them, and it was fucking awesome. And then I feel really bad because I don't do Christmas cards, and then in our group chat last night, everyone was like, "No, don't feel bad," and I was like, "But I do."
Yep, and I joined you in that admission of guilt.
And I want to say a big thank you to Dragon Skull, actually, Craig. I know I said it in the group chat, but I'm going to make this a public thing as well. You absolute legend, like with buying that STL and then sending it to Richard, because I got it primed up last night and I've zenithed it, and oh my god, it's incredible. I cannot wait to do an airbrush show, because that is the mini that I'm going to be doing with you. And now we just need to finalise some New Year dates, and we'll get it out there.
Oh, I think it's going to be a good laugh.
I'm really looking forward to it. Because we all use the airbrush in such different ways.
Don't even know if we use it properly.
Oh, fucking, I clearly don't. But what I'm looking forward to is seeing how everybody else does it and what I can employ into like my own techniques.
It's one of those things, isn't it? You watch, you think, oh, could I do that, or could I adapt that, or how can I add that to my current, the way I currently use it.
So I've managed to split red onto the claw, which is annoying. So when you're painting a white mini, make sure your fingers are clean. Because if you don't, this happens. And you end up with splodges everywhere. So I'll have to paint those back over later on. How goes your mini, Richard?
Mine's covered in paint.
Job done. So what I really like, because this is Artisans Guild, isn't it, you said?
Artisan Guild.
Artisan Guild, that's the one. They've got a lot of like really deep detail in these.
They are. I've always loved their models.
Yeah, they're really cool.
I can remember the day, so it took me ages to get a merchant license for them, because obviously, where they are so popular, all their merchant licenses have gone.
Yeah.
So every month during like the reset, or the payment thing, I would sit ready and waiting on the reset time, refreshing their page to see if someone dropped out of the merchant license or they added more. And I managed to literally get one popped up, and I got one, and I was
made.
Giddy little sausage.
Giddy little sausage, I like that. But I mean, I think you should be. But like, they are incredible minis. But what I really am enjoying here is because the detail's so deep, I'm actually able to get this liner brush really far in there.
That's quite sweet.
Yeah. And again, this is the second time I've ever tried this paint technique. So we'll see how it goes. I might end up having to just do like one half of it and see if I can get like highlights and stuff done with the black. But it is lending itself to it. So for anybody else out there who may want to try this paint style, you go to Richard, get an Artisan Guild mini.
Let's see how I can slap around this stuff on the base.
Yeah, so I've literally just gone for, I zenithed it and then I've put on a grey speed paint and I've put a white onto those eggs, and then I'm going to dry brush the shit out of it, and then I'm going to use a load of neon green speed paints all over those eggs just to give it a real like contrasting colour pop, and then I'll probably hit it with some yellow. That way it'll go against the white of the mini.
I tell you what though, trying to think of using the speed paints and trying to sort of think of ways around to actually do everything in speed paint is always, because you've got your, like with bases, you've usually got your go-to set of paints or effects you want to do, sort of thing.
I actually really struggle with things like contrast paints and speed paints because I'm still not used to how they work.
No. It takes some getting used to, what they do. I'm still getting used to the speed paints, especially how fluid they are.
Yes.
And they do move in strange ways, and you put a little bit on, and you got to make sure you're not dripping and not dribbling and all sorts.
Because we had that with the Chimera, where it was like, it was just pissing red all over the place because I'd put it on too high, and then the lower layers of it just didn't. Dib says, shout out all of your merchant licenses. Are you even able to do that? There's so many of them.
So my merchant licenses are Wicked, Star Wars Patron, B3D Zerk, Flesh of Gods, thanks to Dibs himself, Artisan Guild, Cast and Play, Milestone Heroes, Volcamance, CA3D Studios, and there's one more, and where's my web page? Library. Witch Song Miniatures.
Oh, I didn't know you had that one.
Problem is, it's a case of half of them aren't up in the bloody Etsy store, and I need about a month just to do admin.
Hey, haven't you just closed down the store and you've got like a month off?
Sure. Well, I actually want to, have some time off and actually start to try and feel human again.
You don't need family and kids. Get back to work, you. You want to be self-employed, you got to work harder than that.
It is a glorious thing.
You do it well, you smash it down.
What, you reckon neon green for the eggs?
That's where I'm going. What are you thinking?
I might try it.
Because I want to add like a different cartoon comic book styleness to this, so...
Well, what are we thinking? Hexwreath Flame or Tesseract Glow?
Well, I was going to start with Tesseract Glow and then use Hexwreath Flame around the base of it so that it like blends out, and then going to use like little spats of Iodine Yellow, which are all from the off-brand, not the Army Painter speed paints from Army Painter. They're from the other lesser-known brand. Yeah, I'm going to use those and hope that adds some. I might put the Iodine Yellow on the tops first, the Hexwreath on the bottom, and then just lag it in Tesseract.
I might have to leave the eggs then, because my Army Painters are all the way over there. I might see if they've got a Hexwreath equivalent.
I've got one here if you want to borrow it.
Yeah, can you just chuck it over, mate?
Imagine I fucking yeeted it to the south, from the southwest to the southeast. Oh, I suppose you're the south, not the south.
Yeah, I am south.
I mean,
completely.
Give everybody your exact address here on the internet, and then also a list of your fears and times and schedules that you go to sleep and also go on the school run.
Wouldn't be hard to find me.
No, I still can't believe people didn't realise how tall you were.
I don't understand why people think I'm short.
I think people just think you're short and fat, and it's not true.
I'm just tall and fat, come on, give me some bloody...
I don't know, I think you wear it with fucking absolute bodacity, because, yeah, I don't know, I expected you to be big, tall. Hey, Miss Lounge, how you doing? Good morning!
Hey, dude.
We're back. The combat lasted all of 10 minutes, and I was being generous. Unfortunately, an Artificer versus a Chuul did not go well, but we're trying to paint up these. I'm going with, like, a comic book effect and trying to get that, like, white with heavy black lines. There is so much detail on these that I'm really worried about having to do like artwork lines, but I guess we'll work it out. I'm going to quickly lag some of these eggs in some, not the Army Painter speed paint from Army Painter, and we're going to go from there. How are you doing, Miss Lounge? How's everything going? Let's put that back to the start of the combat music because I like it. Right. So I'm going to use a really big brush, and I'm just going to hit the top of each one of those eggs with this iodine yellow. I'm just going to let that set for a bit. The white is still relatively wet, but that's fine because I kind of want that to blend in. And then I'm going to take that. So that's the yellow, and I'm literally just splodging it on top. And then we're going to splodge. And then we're going to take the Hexwraith. Hexwraith? Hexwraith, it is Wraith. And I'm going to splatter that around the outsides of the bottom of the eggs. And that'll give a dark green, hopefully like slimy, not necessarily glow, but just that little bit extra of like liquidation coming off these grotesque things on the floor. And then we'll add on the Tesseract Glow in a moment. There must be an Army Painter equivalent of these particular colours.
Yeah, I think there is. I just got to go through the set of what there is.
Yeah, same with like Vallejo and stuff. Oh god, I want to get hold of some Turbo Dork as well, actually.
Might be worth a reach out or two.
Yeah, I might do. There we go. So that's going to be the green blend at the bottom. It's taken some of the white with it, which is what we want. And now I'm going to dollop. It's not even a splodge now. It is a full-on skloop. With Tesseract Glow. And I'm going to let that basically run down onto everything. Hopefully that will take some of the yellow with it, and then it will blend with the other colours. It will look nasty. I'd like to hit this with an airbrush, I think, but I'm not going to do that today. But I know what I am going to hit with an airbrush. Fucking giant alien T-Rex. So funny because like one of the players was over last night and I had to like, I didn't hide it, but I was like trying to like move it without them seeing.
Subtle, subtle, subtle.
Yeah.
Oh no.
You're good?
Yeah, I had just a drip run wild and I think I caught it.
Mine's going everywhere, but it's supposed to be doing. I'm adding some more Hex Wraith into.
Trying to get the upper, the big carapace on the back.
Mm.
I'm wanting that darken and getting a bit of blue and a bit of into it and a bit of a different sort of darker shades, so then I can dry brush it and bring some of the bits out.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I've lost my fan because I think I need a fan on this to dry it. So, have I left it by my computer here? He doesn't think he has. Ooh. God, I need to tidy up in here over the Christmas break. This room is a bomb site.
It's alright, that's what I've been doing in my front room and workspace here.
What have I done with it? What has he done with it? Well, I guess that's not going to be dry by the end of the stream, but that's fine. We're going to carry on with black lining. So that's kind of where I'm going to leave the base with this like horrible, goopy, slimy eggs. And then ideally, I'd need that dry beforehand so I can get the mini on there. But I'm going to carry on with the inking because I am using an ink rather than a paint for the black lining. Dibs has just asked a good question in chat. What's everybody up to while we're watching today? So yeah, what are you guys painting out there? Let us know. Or, what are you up to? You doing any taxes? Something fun? Maybe you're at work. In fact, I guarantee that Dragon Skull is at work.
So in theory, we're at work.
Yeah. Yes, we are. Oh. So. Yeah, working. Making lunches for kids. Nice. I want some lunch. Please make me some. What are you going to have for lunch, Mist? Dibs, what are you up to? Triple layer ham and cheese sandwiches with house dressing. Fair enough. I got really heavily back into egg mayo recently.
I'm sorry, but that's not really something you should get out of.
No, but you know when like you haven't had like the inclination to cook them for a while.
Oh, do you know, you saying about that? Something not had for donkey's years that I thought about the other day was fish finger sandwiches.
Now that's a staple dinner in my house.
Yeah, the old proper thick white bread.
Now, I salt and vinegar them when they're on the sandwich because you have to. Do you add a sauce to yours?
No, it's always just been cheese.
See, and this is the other question. I also put cheese on mine. I use like American sliced cheese because it's nice and goopy, but I also add a little bit of mayo to it. Yeah, it's real good. Sometimes if you're feeling extravagant, bang a fried egg in there, see what happens. You can game changer, mate.
Oh.
Yeah. God, I like food.
Yeah, I like it too much.
Yesterday I did an egg mayo and sausage sandwich. And I had a great time. Oh, there's water on my mini. Shit. So I need to dry that up. So I had a droplet of water on my mini, so the ink just went everywhere.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix a bloody part of the bottom here that I've been holding. I've managed to rub off all the bloody paint.
Oh no. Oh no.
I might have to stick it to the base and see, hope for the best.
So that's the other thing, it's like, I don't want to stick this to the base yet, and now it's wet. But actually, I will do Dale Arowney their dues. This liner brush is fucking awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it cost me like £3. And like, it's just following all of those indentations really nicely. I'm not having to use my nerd glasses to get in there. 5 stars, would recommend. Yeah. I like this a lot. I'm going to get addicted to this style of paint job, I know it.
How far do you really want to push it though?
Oh God. That's the problem, is that it's not my art style. It's not like something I'm used to doing. So it's nice to like break into something new, and it gives me like that vigor and that like passion to try something new, but also at the same time, imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And also, is this now me? Is this my whole personality? Do I want to throw that much of it of me into it? It is pretty cool though. I think for somebody who maybe comes to the hobby from being an artist, would be much better at this on their first go than I am.
I have no art background and no art understanding whatsoever.
No, neither do I, actually. I always find that weird when we're on Band of Badgers and they're like, yeah, it's a pro painters, and I'm like...
Sorry, what?
Yeah. I'm like, I mean... I'm practiced. I wouldn't say I'm a pro, but
I can paint a little bit.
Yeah, I'll take the compliment. Nom 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 nom.
No, I can't even do that. I struggle with it.
But actually, I think that's a good thing to point out to people out there, is that like, paint them for you. You don't need to paint them for anybody else. You don't need to paint them to, hit anybody else's criteria. Just have fun with it. I think it's definitely something that you should enjoy doing it. So like for me now with this like new technique,
it's a bit of fun, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not bothered if it doesn't work out. I'm not trying to like show you how to do it. I'm just testing it out for me. And maybe somebody else can come along and be like, hey, actually, try this. And I will take
Give
their
this the
advice.
guys, John.
Yeah, exactly that. But definitely just do it for yourselves out there.
What have we got next time on this show?
Next up on Painting Up the Monster Manual is... I need to go back to the encounter builders and have a look, because I did them quite far in advance. I think it's the cloaker. Yeah, it's the cloaker. So that should be basically a stingray. Where it's
Stingray.
I got it.
Yay.
God, I used to love Stingray.
You're as old as me.
Things like Captain Scarlet and Stingray, I love them. God, there are these really deep lines on the underside of this.
You also got to remember what's going to be seen once you glue it down.
Yes, exactly that. But so I think where the underside is, that will be seen.
Only a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah, so we're going to go with that one. Hey, Absalom. How you doing? Hey, Velvet from the Space Marine as well. More people coming in. How you all doing? We are 17 minutes away from an hour. I'm definitely not going to be tabletop ready because I was trying a new paint style with this whole white comic book effect that we're going for.
In theory, I'm pretty much tabletop ready.
Are we painting Zoidberg today? Yes. This is the Chuul. And yeah, again, I'm trying that cartoon comic book effect that I've really appreciated other people doing. Big shout out to Velvet Plum as well for that.
That's mine.
Awesome Aarakocra. Whoa! Man, you went right down the crustacean route. I fucking love it.
Yeah.
That's very, very cool. But I definitely am not going to be tabletop ready. Because I'm not even going to be able to stick it down to the base. And these all these little like carapace scratches and stuff like that, and little swirls and finite lines to follow. Right. But what I have learned is that I really like this brush.
Awesome brush.
Yeah, at £3, I'm not complaining. Trying to get some. There's a lot of these like scar lines that are just really nice and deep as well, and it just gets right in there.
I really need this thing to dry now so I can dry brush it.
Yeah. Thank you. So it's looking so good so far, Reed. I'm loving that realistic vibe. Thank you very much. Absalom, good. Thanks. Getting super fast broadband in a couple of weeks, so hopefully my stream will improve. Maybe not the content, but the presentation. Absalom, that's awesome. I've seen that you've actually gone live a bit recently, but it's always when I'm like out and about and I haven't been able to like jump on, but I absolutely want to. So I'll keep an eye out, and hopefully the super fast works out really well for you. It's made a difference to us here in Cornwall. When it works. Right. I need to grab this line here. And that line there. Possibly that one there on the face. So what I would say from trying this technique for possibly the second time ever, definitely like pre-look at the mini and where all of those details are and what you're going to be focusing on. I didn't. Now I'm having to pick them out again afterwards. But the ink lasts for ages on the brush and I'm not having to like reload or anything.
So what is quite nice as well is mixing the speed paints together gets you some interesting
wet blends.
Result. So I've mixed literally 3 of them together, and it's doing the webbing around the eggs is like a nice sort of putrid, sickly green.
Yes.
That's going then, you know, which will build up to the neon if I can get the bloody neon to work.
Yeah, mine are gonna take ages drying, but that's what I've gone with as well. So I've mixed yellow and then the 2 different greens, and I've done that over a slightly wet white. So it's like pulled it through and made it a bit more opaque. As you said, that my stream disconnected. Yeah, standard. Same here, I've been really shaky recently. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you very much, Absalom. Yeah, we're trying out the comic book style because it's something that I tried the other day when we were with Badgers on the Steamforged Games Island of the Crab Archon minis. And I wanted to do it for this one because when Richard sent this through to me, I was like, this is so kaiju and so monstrous that I really want to try something different with it. And yeah, see if I can get a new effect.
And we love it.
I'm gonna have to start adding things like little crosshatch scratch marks of my own now. See if we can make that even more comic book. Oof. See, this is the bit where I'm not an artist. And how much is too much? Oh, that liner, you can use the edge of it really nicely as well. I've got a new favourite brush. So Army Painter and everybody else out there, could you come out with a decent liner, please? This is the Dale Arowney one, and then send them my way. Without my glasses, that look like General Grievous. Be right back. No worries. Never any pressure. You've got 10 minutes, Richard.
Well, I think I can say that I don't think there's a neon green on the speed painter range.
Oh, Army Painter. You know what that means?
So, here already? Nope.
Oh, I need to do the eggs that are on the actual foot as well. And I need to tidy up that splodge that I made of the red.
I've got shamrock green and ghoul green, but nothing like a Tesseract glow.
Lee. So I'm going to grab some white and cover up my mistakes. Yeah, actually, I suppose I haven't seen anything from the Army Painter along those lines. Right, let's grab a little smidgen of that. This is just matte white from the Army Painter. I'm going to paint over that big mess we made. I'm not watering this down because I need it to cover quickly. So instead of layers, we're going for brute power. There we go. Right. Let's now grab. So there are all these like little spikes on the back of the carapace. And I think I'm just going to try and outline the undersides of them in the black, maybe. Maybe that's how you do this style.
See how it goes.
I guess, yeah.
Have a bit of a laugh.
This is very much an all the gear, no idea paint job for me.
That's how we roll, my friend. That's how we roll.
How we roll.
So we've got 17 minutes.
No, you've got 8 minutes.
8 minutes. When did you say 17 minutes?
It would have been about 8 minutes ago.
You sure?
I mean, I haven't changed the timer. Man, I'd love to be able to alter time.
I'd just like to be able to duplicate it so I get more.
Well, if you could stop it, then you could just literally...
Nah, because stopping time will stop progress.
Yeah, but then you could have a rest and then start it again, and then you could also, in that stopping time, you could like be working on stuff. As long as you don't age in that time. It's like Bernard's watch, you know? Right, so we've got got some black line that needs going on there.
Oh, that's nice.
What you got?
So, I've gone a bit heavy because I've had to stray from some of the army painter bits, but I've used Hex Wreath Flame and Tesseract Glow, and obviously the speed paints are still wet as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bunging it all a bit slapdash and a bit wet and willy-nilly, but it's mixing together. And it actually doesn't look too bad.
See, I really like contrast paints and speed paints for wet blending. I think they do really, really well. The only problem is when you get too much and they just start to run everywhere.
Yeah, it is a juggle and making sure you mind out for that.
So I need to grab the side of the brush there for the edge of the mouth.
But I am quite chuffed with that effect on the eggs.
You know what? I'm relatively chuffed with how far I've got on this. It's definitely a starting base for me. But actually, I think this is going to become a very addictive paint style.
It has been something I've thought about trying and decided I barely have the talent to paint normally, so...
I think the style of the mini lends itself to this because obviously it's like all carapace and stuff like that. I think trying to do a human or a humanoid could be a lot harder.
Yeah, as I said, that was what I meant when I said turn it up a notch and, you know, see how you do one of them.
Yeah, because I think trying to get the face and the like under the nose and the lips and stuff like that, that's where it's going to get really hard. But then other people seem to have done ones that are like, you paint them up cartoon style and then you go in and black line again afterwards, and that could be the way I go. So it's like my standard paint job and then do this afterwards. But then I wouldn't want to ruin it by being shit.
Always the worry.
Right. I might actually be relatively tabletop, you know. There's a lot of hidden bits that I don't necessarily need to do. I'd ideally like that base to be dry so I can get it on there, but it's not going to happen.
I'm going to have to... I'm going to finish this afternoon, I think. Maybe spend another little bit just to dry brush the... But I'm going to be tabletop by the end of the episode.
You know what? I might be as well. I was not expecting that. I figured you would be. You nerd. Oh my god, this brush is fucking incredible. You know when like you try and get in somewhere deep, but that's underneath and in a really awkward spot?
I have that issue a lot.
This thing, because it obviously like once you've got into the line and then it follows it, it just fucking follows it. It's great.
Hobbycraft, yeah?
Fucking hobbycraft. Dale Rowney.
Give that a little bit of a look-see.
And it's just called, it's the Graduate Dale Rowney Liner. 212151090 is the SKU number. It's fucking cool. I love this brush.
Right. I'm going to brave sticking it down.
Oh, while it's still wet.
Yeah.
You're a braver man than I, Richard Denyer.
Just trying to work out what way round it goes.
Oh, that's a much better way of doing these spikes. So I think the pincers that are close together go over the smaller of the two hooked kind of stone bit, and then the eggs go where the other eggs are on the flat bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's right. There's a little flat bit and getting it the right way round.
Okay. We still got 2 minutes. I can get some deeper blacks in there. There's... So, like, just inside the claws, there's, like, really big, deep recess. I think I'm going to try and get that looking really dark and void-like. So, what have we got going on here? Google Borderlands creatures. I will have to check that out. Fluffy, my Twitch app is glitching. I think it's trying to update just in case anyone else is having issues. I'm having lots of issues. Oh, Absalom. How do you two not use some type of mini holder? I am too fluffy. It's irritating as I keep missing all the vital info they are giving me. I wonder if that's us then, or if that's...
So we've all been fine my end. I've had no ping pop up or anything like that.
No, neither have I. We'll carry on anyway. But as for a mini holder, I normally would. But because this is too big, and I don't want to blue tack it and take any of the paint off, I'm just going to go with it as it is. Oh, you've got about 50 seconds, Richard.
So I normally would. I've got multiple paint pots I use as it as well.
Yeah, I mostly use a standard GW one, but then I, for the bigger minis, will blue tack them usually to something. Right, I'm doing these tiny little dots, but I don't need to. I'm going to call it there. If I go too far now, I'm going to regret it. Oh,
I haven't had a chance to blackline the base, but I'm ready.
I didn't do the eggs on the actual mini, so I'm going to quickly smash those out in the next 10 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. And that is that. We got it! So. When I hold them and rub and paint off the corners, yeah, I end up rubbing them off as well. Dragon Skull. Me too, Fluffy. Stream drops and I have to reload. Okay, thinking that takes me to bases I don't play, so I wonder why that is. Well, I'll have a look at the speed afterwards and stuff like that. But for now,
I wonder if it's just Twitch in general. It's
maybe.
Not ours per se. It's Twitch itself.
Could be. So this is what I've gone with. So we've got the bright green on there, the red on the tendrils of the mouth, and then we're trying to do that whole comic book accent for black and white, essentially, for that horror theme.
Love it.
Then the base is standard greys, and then we've got that sickly green slime for the eggs. And that's it. I mean, I will stand that on the other one, and then I'll take a picture while it's still wet and get that up on Instagram. But Richard, how did yours go?
So,
Hot dude.
what I was going to do, where you've got slime around yours, I was going to get some of the snow texture paint and mix in some hex wreath to slime out as slime. I might do that later though.
That's a great idea.
I don't know if I can get it in.
There. Dude, I love the difference in the claws, like the dark area and the light area.
I'm gonna do a bit of dry brushing on it, but I will, once it's dried, I'll take a picture of it and then give it a little bit of a slap more later.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get mine glued down in a bit and then we'll go from there. But I'm pretty happy for that being the second time I've ever tried something like that.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. I think I'm going to end up being addicted to trying that technique out on many things. Guys on Twitch, if you've had issues with the stream, then I'm really sorry. I'll have a look into that. But it has been recorded and it'll go up onto YouTube as always afterwards. And hopefully next week Twitch end next week. I think it's like the 28th or something. How are you feeling?
Right. Yeah, I'm all right for next week.
Yeah, so I will get hold of the WizKids cloaker and we'll do that one. But until then, guys, thank you so much for taking part, everybody in Twitch. And if you're watching on YouTube and you've got any questions, ask away. If you want to see some of the minis that we've done so far, you can check them out on Richard's Instagram or on my Instagram, as well as like many other socials as well. And I'll put links to those in the descriptions below. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back on the 28th of December. So I guess Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Merry Christmas, Happy Yule, season's greetings and all that.
Yeah. Richard, we're nearly at the end of the year, man.
Terrifying.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about that off stream. Guys, thank you so much. Have yourselves
you guys.
a fantastic Christmas. See you soon.